We continue our sub-battle all week long between Seahawks Today and the Browns Report. And Browns Report host Matthew Peterson, he was talking some smack.
Peter, what were you saying about the 12s?
Well, Seahawks fans, I was talking about how P.J. Walker's going to come in there. He's going to embarrass Geno Smith so badly that let's just hope Geno gets a ride home after the game, because we know sometimes when things aren't going well for him, he should probably not be behind the wheel.
We are not letting him get away with that, folks. Subscribe now. Let's win this sub-battle, and we'll get started with today's edition of Seahawks Today. We're talking blockbuster trade targets for your Seattle Seahawks after the Frank Clark signing. Where could Seattle go from here? The trade deadline coming up next week. I got 5 potential players to watch of who the Seahawks could ultimately bring in. The big change between today and yesterday is that I don't expect Seattle now to pursue an outside linebacker with Frank Clark stepping into that role in place of Uchenna Nwosu. If the Seahawks are going to make a move for a defensive player, not thinking it's going to be at that outside linebacker spot specifically. With that said, let's start with a guy that we have talked a decent amount about over the last couple of months that is still available, and that is DeForest Buckner, defensive tackle from the Indianapolis Colts. And the thing that I would see with DeForest Buckner of what you could do, I know Jarran Reed's playing really well as of late. You slide over Jarran Reed to one side. DeForest Buckner handles things in the middle, and all of a sudden you're talking about an incredible defensive line. This Seahawks team has championship aspirations. And if you're a championship team, you need to be aggressive. And you add DeForest Buckner to this bunch, all of a sudden you're talking about the Seahawks potentially having the nastiest defense you can think of, where nobody is effing around with this Seattle Seahawks bunch. DeForest Buckner is as good as you're going to find out there. A 2-time Pro Bowler, former first-team All-Pro, and he's been successful in multiple places, both with the Indianapolis Colts and with the San Francisco 49ers. Buckner is as good as it gets, and he's already off to a good start to 2023 with 29 tackles, 3 sacks, 4 tackles for loss, and 4 forced fumbles. Last year was a solid season as well with 74 tackles, 8 sacks, 11 tackles for loss, and 2 forced fumbles. DeForest Buckner, would love to see you in Seattle, my guy. Should the Seahawks trade for DeForest Buckner? It's our pinned comment today. Why for yes, in for no? Why in that comment section? Tell me what you think about the idea of DeForest Buckner or not. Next on the list, a player from the Washington Commanders not named Chase Young. I look at Montez Sweat as a possibility now, more so than Chase Young with the circumstances the Seahawks are at with the Frank Clark addition. Sweat would be electric. He'd be an electric factor, right? And could be a very good complementary piece next to Jarran Reed on the defensive line. See, if you add Sweat into the fold, then Jarran Reed stays at that nose tackle spot. Sweat plays on the other side of him. Comparably speaking to Buckner, you move Jarran Reed over. Sweat, former first-round pick out of Mississippi State. And I think the theme that I see with Montez Sweat in his career so far has been consistency. He's had at least 5 sacks in every season of his career to this point. And success in 2023 already with 5.5 sacks this season alone. And he's on pace to have the best season of his NFL career to this point. You look at these statistics now, not only is he playing at a high level, but you can see that it's even better than what he's done in the past. And the past seasons were good too. 8 sacks in 2022, 5 in 2021, 9 in 2020. Montez Sweat could be a game changer. And you add him to the fold, you're not going to double team anybody. You can't do that. This is going to be incredible, and you are going to be a force to be reckoned with on the defensive line if you add Montez Sweat to the equation. Today's show is sponsored by BetUS, the exclusive sportsbook partner of Chat Sports. Go to chatsports.com/bet, enter the promo code Seahawks125. You will get a 125% deposit bonus. Put $100 down. You get $125 to spend for free at chatsports.com/bets. It's like buying a pizza and then getting a couple extra slices for free, folks, with an additional pizza. Great deal. The Seahawks are favorites this weekend against the Brownies. As you can see, Seattle favored by 3, over under 40. P.J. Walker is starting for Cleveland. Why would you not make this bet? Hammer the Seahawks -3. Get your bets in today. Chatsports.com/bet, promo code Seahawks25 to bet on Seahawks football and NFL action all season long. Chatsports.com/bet, promo code Seahawks125. Another name on the list, Leonard Williams. Now, Leonard Williams, similar to the same reasons that we talked about DeForest Buckner. The difference with his case compared to, let's say, Buckner is that he's probably the easiest to acquire, to bring in. He's not going to cost as much as DeForest Buckner will for a couple of reasons. One of those being his age and the Giants' lack of success being full-on sell mode completely. They are selling the farm, and it's very obvious with that Giants team where things stand right now. A Pro Bowler back in 2016, a lot of experience that he brings to the table, 131 career games played, 122 starts, Pro Bowler back in 2016, and has had a very successful career to this point. And same kind of ordeal. You plug and play in with Jarran Reed, and he makes a difference. Now, his numbers don't jump off the page as compared to the likes of Montez Sweat or DeForest Buckner. He has just a sack and a half so far this year and a tackle for loss with 20 tackles. But we've seen him play at a high level. We know that he's capable of doing so. You can go back to 2020 when he had 11 and a half sacks and 16 tackles for loss. So keep an eye on Leonard Williams. We'll see if the Seahawks go that direction there. A couple more names to get to, but before we do, here's your chance to pretend you're John Schneider. Name a player the Seahawks should trade for at the trade deadline. Give me one that comes to mind, whether it's somebody we've talked about today or somebody we haven't. Get in that comment section. Let us know what you think. So let's go offense now. And we turn our attention to New England Patriots offensive tackle Trent Brown. And know what you're thinking. Offensive tackle? Really? Yes, and here is why. If we're going to be frank, let's be honest with y'all. We don't know when Abraham Lucas is coming back. Okay, we were initially told that when he went down week 1, it was just soreness, shouldn't be a lingering issue, and then all of a sudden he's on IR, right? And now we're waiting. We've been told that he's progressing, but, I mean, not to be a Debbie Downer, but I'll believe it when I see it. And so then you have to start thinking about, okay, do the Seahawks need to invest in a tackle? And even then, if Abraham Lucas comes back, what about a secondary option in case Lucas gets hurt or if you just need a backup of some sort, it's a rotational piece? That's where Trent Brown comes in. Trent Brown, a Pro Bowler back in 2019, Super Bowl champion, has been successful with both the New England Patriots, the San Francisco 49ers, and the Las Vegas Raiders. Trent Brown has done it all, and I can't imagine his cost being terribly high at this point. And even though the New England Patriots, everybody's been talking about how awful their offensive line has played this year, Trent Brown has been kind of the exception of sorts. His overall grade, fantastic, an 86.6 to begin 2023. His pass block grade, 79.3. Run block grade, 87.8. And he's allowed 2 sacks. Trent Brown has been fantastic and would be a huge difference for the Seahawks team, especially that run blocking. The Seahawks run game has been inconsistent. Trent Brown can change things there for the Seahawks, and we've talked about it previously. The Seahawks need to do a better job in the red zone, running the football north-south in the red zone. That's where Trent Brown can come in handy. The last player on this list is the most shocking, most surprising player of all, and that is Zack Herz, tight end for the Arizona Cardinals. A couple things to keep in mind here. One, an intra-division trade doesn't happen that often, but I think the Cardinals are so bad, so awful, and in complete rebuild mode and all that, that they'll sell anything to anybody at the highest cost, I would think, as far as Arizona goes. And then number 2, as far as the tight end position is concerned, I know what you're thinking. The Seahawks have Noah Fant, they have Will Dissly and all that. But the truth of the matter is this. After this year, Seahawks are likely to move on from Noah Fant or Will Dissly, and maybe both players for that matter. And so if you're the Seahawks and knowing that you are going to make that upgrade next year, that somebody's going to go, maybe both guys, you might just go ahead and look at it now and say, let's just go take care of it while we can and get Zack Herz for pennies on the dollar and upgrade that. Maybe it's him playing side by side with Noah Fant or Will Dissly, whatever it may be, but this might be a cheap opportunity to upgrade said position for this Seahawks team for something that you're going to do at some point anyway. Ertz, a three-time Pro Bowler, most recently in 2019, Super Bowl champion, who joined the Cardinals back in 2021 after playing for the Eagles before that. Zack Herz has had a very good career, and his wife looks very nice. Shout out Julie Ertz, the soccer player. You look at these statistics for Zack Herz, and the quarterback play has been awful there in Arizona, having to deal with Josh Dobbs and all that, and yet, look, he's still had 27 catches. Last year at 406 yards. You go back to 2021, 763 yards. Zack Herz, I think, still has something left to offer somebody and potentially the Seattle Seahawks. Should the Seahawks trade for Zack Herz? What do you think? Type T for trade, P for pass. Would you like to see him in Seattle? Let me know what you think. So to recap, our blockbuster trade targets for the Seahawks, they include DeForest Buckner, Montez Sweat, Leonard Williams, Trent Brown, and Zack Herz. Thanks for joining us here on this edition of Seahawks Today. Subscribe to the channel now. Let's beat the Browns report in new subscribers, and we shall see you next time.